Is editor Philip Turle. Philip, great to see you. What is Emmanuel Macron hoping to achieve with this visit?
Right. Well, the first one is to show French solidarity with Israel, which we were just hearing about in that clip there with Isaac Herzog, the Israeli president, and to encourage Israel to protect itself, but within the framework of international law. I think that's very important to underline, just as the other world leaders who have been in Israel over the past 17 days since the start of this war with Hamas have also done. I think there's also an element here, Delano, where Emmanuel Macron is looking for what is going to happen after this is all over. Something that has got to be worked out. There's got to be a plan where Israel is going to go once it gets rid of Hamas, which is what Israel is intending to do after this ground offensive, if and when it takes place. That, I think, Emmanuel Macron is also going to push the Israeli authorities about, because he thinks it's important, not only as French president, but as he sees himself a leader of Europe and on the same par as Joe Biden in the United States. It's important to find a way out of this conflict with a way forward for a two-state solution, Israel on one side, Palestine on the other. I think also there's going to be calls for a truce so that more humanitarian aid can get into the Gaza Strip. That's something else that Emmanuel Macron has made pretty clear that he's going to push the Israeli authorities for. Israel doesn't show any sign right now of wanting to stop the bombardments of Israel. That is going to be problematic when it comes to talking about peace. It's not on the agenda right now, doesn't look set to be on the agenda anytime soon, but there may be hope of more aid going into Gaza as a result of Emmanuel Macron's visit if he puts the pressure on the Israeli authorities.
But what are the chances that Macron succeeds in pressuring the Israeli authorities, given that it's gotten a free pass until now from Washington and London?
Well, there's no guarantee. And I think the big fear, as far as the French government is concerned, as far as Emmanuel Macron and French officials are concerned, is that he's going to come back empty-handed or with very little to show from this visit. And that is why it's very important for him not only to be seen with Israeli officials, as he's going to be talking to Benjamin Netanyahu very shortly, but also with other world leaders from the region. And that's why we didn't know about this until earlier today. He's going to be going to the West Bank town of Ramallah to meet with Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian National Authority. There was a lot of doubt about this. You know, when these kind of visits take place, journalists are not often told about what is going to happen because of security reasons. Just like for the Ukrainian president Volodymyr Zelensky, we're never really sure about where he's going to be going. And I think it's the same for Emmanuel Macron. So we don't know where he's going afterwards. He may be going to Egypt. He's been invited several times by the Egyptian authorities to go there. Egypt has a close border with Israel. It's one of the major players in the region. There are strong chances that Emmanuel Macron will fly to Cairo. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it's important for him not only on the world scene, but also domestically back here in France, to be seen as someone who's not just in the pocket with Israel, but also talking to the other side.
Talking to both sides, but his government has faced criticisms over its policies in the immediate aftermath of what happened on the 7th of October.
There's a big split in the French Parliament about exactly what France's role is, and in particular between the far-left France Unbowed Party, which has refused to call Hamas a terrorist group, has accused France of joining forces with Israel, is calling for a ceasefire in the fighting between Hamas and Israel. That has led to a serious split between that party, which came very high in the last presidential election in France. The head of the France Unbowed Party, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, just failed to get into the second round of voting in the presidential election. So there is a major split between his position and the rest of the political position in France, which calls Hamas a terrorist organization and agrees that Israel is right to go in there to try to get rid of it. But that has cause a lot of unhappiness, I think, or that's not the right word, but a lot of unrest within the French government and the French Parliament
But also
about the position that France is showing to the world when it comes to giving its weight to Israel.
And also, at what cost? I mean, we just look at the casualty figures since the offensive began in response to those Hamas attacks, and we have over 5,000 people killed, including 2,000 children in Gaza. So it's going to be a tricky balancing act for the French president.
It's very complicated for the French president, and you've seen a certain shift in France's position since the start of this conflict. When at the start, France was 100% behind Israel in trying to bomb Hamas positions. That has shifted. We've now seen these calls for the bombing race be in respect of international law, for a truce to be introduced to let humanitarian aid go in there. So there has been a shift as far as France is concerned, so as basically not to cause too much unrest within France itself, where you have large Muslim and Jewish populations.
Exactly.
That's also a fear of the French leadership, that this trip could increase tensions here in France as a result if Emmanuel Macron comes home empty-handed.